I think that we would all remember that he had those meetings with Kim Jong-un that came to absolutely nothing. In fact, they were with the purpose of trying to get North Korea to back down on its nuclear program. And in fact, North Korea is more advanced than ever since then. So really those meetings came to nothing. So I would say that possibly a better indication about where Donald Trump might go with this is whether he actually goes ahead with any of these sanctions that he's threatened, and whether today's deadline is meaningful in any way at all.
Now, the White House has said that new sanctions on Russia will come into place today. Still not exactly clear what those are or how far-reaching they'll be. Meanwhile, President Trump has confirmed that he will meet his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin with or without Volodymyr Zelensky. That had initially been a requirement for a summit between the Russian and US leaders. Let's speak now to Catherine Philp, the Times World Affairs editor, who speaks to us live from Kyiv. Morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Kerry.
There seems to be a level of confusion here. Initially, I know that the White House was briefing out that there wasn't going to be a meeting between Trump and Putin if Putin didn't also agree to meet Volodymyr Zelensky. They seem to have reined back on that now. So what details do we actually have about who's meeting who and when?
Yeah, so we don't have a time or a place yet, although it seems likely that it will be in the United Arab Emirates. Again, that was a suggestion by Putin because he met with one of the leaders of the UAE just at the time that he talked about that. I think that the original suggestion that Zelensky be there was not necessarily a condition for the initial meeting between Putin and Trump, but that there was a suggestion from Washington that there be also be a trilateral meeting, so that perhaps that meeting would happen immediately after the meeting between Trump and Putin, or in the immediate aftermath. But obviously that has been shot down by Moscow, and of course that is a discouraging sign that really that Putin is sort of laying out the terms himself and sort of taking back the initiative, having had this suggested to him by Trump's envoy.
I wanted to get your take on that, on where's the power in this? I mean, obviously, Trump's talked about moving nuclear subs. He's talked about sanctions coming in today. He's put a deadline of ceasefire on Putin. But then Putin was a pariah, and now suddenly he's got a meeting with Donald Trump. Where's the power lying here?
Well, that's an excellent question, because just by having that meeting, he ceases to be a pariah. He becomes someone who's on a level with Donald Trump, and that will be very, publicly evident when that meeting happens. Trump and the moving the submarines, it's an interesting thing, because we have tended to see nuclear threats coming out of Moscow, not out of Washington. And then Trump came up with that line about moving the subs. We have absolutely no way of knowing if he's actually done that or not, because it's not information that we can verify at all. The movement of Washington's nuclear submarines is not information we can check up on, nor is it actually particularly relevant, because the entire purpose of having an at-sea nuclear deterrent in the form of nuclear subs is that they can actually fire from anywhere. So I suspect that was rhetoric.
We know that Putin has played Trump before, and Trump fell for it, and then has started to see that Putin, what he actually says to Donald Trump, he doesn't always act upon. You've talked, and I know I heard you speaking to Callum on Drive about this last night, about kind of when they met 7 years ago and the dynamic at that meeting and how it needs to be different now. Do you think Trump will be prepared for that? Will realise that Putin's played him before and needs to look at this differently?
I think we can only hope so. Certainly from the perspective here in Kyiv, yes. I don't know, to be honest, how self-aware Donald Trump is about how it looked last time when they met in Helsinki, because he was very bound up with these ideas about the fact that he'd been accused of colluding with Russia in a way that he still denies, and that has never been proved or come to very much. So there is that issue. One of the problems, excuse me, with Donald Trump is that he tends to like the pomp and ceremony of these meetings more than he is interested in the results. And I don't know if that's changed in 7 years. I think that we would all remember that he had those meetings with Kim Jong-un that came to absolutely nothing. In fact, they were with the purpose of trying to get North Korea to back down on its nuclear program. And in fact, North Korea is more advanced than ever since then. So really those meetings came to nothing. So I would say that possibly a better indication about where Donald Trump might go with this is whether he actually goes ahead with any of these sanctions that he's threatened, and whether today's deadline is meaningful in any way at all.
Do we get a sense of Trump still thinks that he should sort this out with Putin without necessarily including Zelensky, or do we feel that has slightly changed in recent weeks?
I think that he does think he should sort it out on a level with Putin, and I think the problem is not just that this looks to be going over the head of just Zelensky, but also over the heads of Europe. And that's particularly egregious when you think of the fact that Trump is so determined that this is Europe's problem and they must sort it out and pay for it. Although, of course, he would like them to do it by buying American weapons, thank you very much, and using them and giving them to Kyiv. So there is a sort of disconnect in this, in the fact that Trump is asking not only Ukraine to step up, but also the rest of Europe, and yet appears to be willing to negotiate something with Putin over the heads of the people that he expects to enforce it. So that is problematic.
How much progress do you expect to be made? I mean, it sounds to me like you're not holding out a huge amount of hope of moving things forward from this initial meeting.
I'm not. I think that it is more relevant what happens today, whether this deadline is meaningful at all, and what action Trump takes in spite of it, or whether the mere fact that he's going to meet Putin in the near future makes him sort of soft pedal this deadline that is supposed to expire today. So I think that is a better indicator of what will happen at a meeting than any speculation we have about him tough talking with Putin.
Catherine, it's always so good to get your assessment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Claire.
Catherine Philp there, the Times World Affairs editor. It's always great to get inside Catherine's big brain and get a sense of. And she was there, she was there 7 years ago in Helsinki when Putin and Trump met before. And I think it's really interesting that actually Catherine's saying don't really look at the meeting between Trump and Putin, because, we look at form, it can be quite performative. You look at when he met the North Korean leader last time. It doesn't necessarily come to anything. What will be more meaningful is what happens today. There was the deadline for today. Will sanctions be brought in? Like he said, there would be, more sanctions against. We've seen tariffs against India for trading with Russia. Will there be more tariffs like that dished out? Because maybe that is more effective at this point against Russia.
And that